Our top story: India will give financial assistance of $1.4 billion to the Maldives. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said today the biggest aid yet to the Indian Ocean island nation that is grappling with debt from the Chinese building spree.
भारत हमेशा आपके साथ है। मुझे खुशी है कि इस प्रतिबद्धता की प्रत्यक्ष अभिव्यक्ति के तौर पर मालदीव के सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास के लिए बजट सपोर्ट, करेंसी स्वैप और रियायती लाइंस ऑफ क्रेडिट के रूप में 1.4 बिलियन अमेरिकी डॉलर की आर्थिक सहायता भारत मालदीव को प्रदान करेगा।
And Prime Minister Modi made the announcement after talks with Soli, who defeated the pro-China former President Abdullah Yameen in a surprise election result in October and is trying to reset ties with India. This is Soli's first India visit after taking over as the President of Maldives. Earlier, the Maldives President called on the Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj at the President's house. He also met business leaders and will be hosted for a state banquet at the President as the Rashtrapati Bhavan later tonight as well. Notably, Soli's visit comes a month after Prime Minister Modi attended his swearing-in ceremony in Malé as well. The visit marks a new turn in India-Maldives relationship and a subtle but significant strategic shift in the Indian Ocean region. Soli's visit is expected to bring India back as the principal development partner of the island nation. And well, joining us to talk a little bit more about this is Harsh Pant, Distinguished Fellow from ORF. And Harsh, thanks for talking to us this evening. Now, your thoughts about India's assistance of $1.4 billion to Mali?
Well, it's a significant sum, and I think it corresponds to the requirements of the new government in Maldives, which had reached out to India, suggesting that they really need this help. Partly because of what has happened with the Chinese-led projects and the debt crisis that the Maldives seem to be facing. So I think it's an important overture from India's side, making it clear that India wants to be part of the developmental journey of Maldives, and not simply as a largely predatory exercise, which some of the Chinese projects seem to be involved in, but as a real partner, true partner, which comes to the rescue of a nation, which when required. So I think this is an important gesture. It will be taken in that spirit in Maldives as well.
Right, but Harsh, can some of this actually be used to service the debt that the Maldives government actually has to pay off to the Chinese?
I think partly they would like to. I think they would like to use it in some form to get out of the Chinese grip. And that's understandable, that given that the resources are no longer with the Maldivian government in the same in the same volume and proportion as they were in the past. So I think certainly they would like to use some of it, but largely I think this will be about what perhaps the outline as was laid out today in the joint statement by the two governments, laying out a very extensive roadmap of economic cooperation going forward.
Right, and that economic cooperation will widen, Harsh, over the next couple of years, hopefully. But China as well has built, sea bridges connecting the capital Malé, and they've invested in the airport there, and they are invested in many ways in Malé. So even though our investment increases, they're there for the long haul as well, despite, of course, if Malé pays off that debt.
Well, yes, I think much as we would like to think that it's a zero-sum game, I think China is now one of the most significant partners of almost all South Asian countries. And this ebb and flow between India and China would continue depending on the political complexion of the governments in our neighboring states. And I think we should look at it in that spirit. No government in South Asia and in the larger Indian Ocean region is in a position to rebuff China. And I think the fact that you have now a successive governments in the region which have subtly informed China that the kind of behavior that the Chinese countries have been invested in the past cannot continue is a sign that things are changing, and perhaps for the better. There is a demand now from the bottom up in these states, in the smaller states in the region, that they will not take China's diktats lying down, and they will respond. They will sort of reshape the arrangement that China has with these nations. So I think that's good news for India. But I think India should not think that India would be, that China would not be part of the landscape. China will continue, as we have seen in Sri Lanka, for example.